prepare the topic regarding VAT or latest VAT updates. So I'll be sharing my screen. Can you now view my screen? Okay, hopefully you can now view my screen. Okay, so our topic for today is navigating the latest VAT updates and how Automate simplifies compliance and streamlines your VAT filing. So we will discuss the different VAT updates, particularly from our new laws here in the Philippines. As you all know, recently there are new laws passed here in the Philippines, particularly for VAT. So we will discuss those items one by one. So let's start. So under VAT updates, we have the following VAT updates coming from our EOCTA or Ease of Paying Taxes Act. We also have updates under Create More. And then we have also updates under VAT on digital service providers. So we will discuss the updates pursuant to each type of law. So let's start now under EOCTA. So bear with me. Our discussion for today is uh, a kind of lawyerly type because we look into the differences of the previous law and the current VAT. So let's start under the first update. So before po, ang prior rule natin, ang ating tax base ay different depending if you are a seller of service or a seller of goods. So dati, if you are a seller of service, ang tax base mo ay gross receipts. And then, if you're a seller of goods, ang tax base mo ay gross sale. However, ngayon po sa ating IOPTA, pursuant to the amendment under Section 108, nagbago na po ang ating tax base. Ano po ang tax base natin? Kung dati, we still need to classify whether you are a seller of service or a seller of goods. Nowadays, you don't need to classify whether you are a seller of service or a seller of goods. Whether or not you are a seller of service or a seller of good, you will only have one tax base. And what is that tax base? That is your gross sale. And whenever we talk about gross sale means gross selling price, gross value in money, or gross receipts. All of this will be gross sales. So the first update under IOCTA, there is no more difference between sale of service and sale of goods as to the tax base. Now we only have one tax base, and that is your gross sale. And under gross sale, as long as it is earned, whether or not it is collected, then we can report that as part of our tax base for our VAT. Next update under IOPTA, we have your VAT invoicing requirements. So before, under IOPTA, our VAT invoicing requirements is that if you are a seller of service, you will provide an official receipt. But now, under IOPTA, whether you are a seller of goods, property, service, use, or list of properties, you will now issue a sales invoice. So wala na po yung concept ng ating OR. Ngayon po ang tawag na natin ay sales invoice. Another requirement, business style of the purchaser is required. However, under IOPTA, business style is not required. So input VAT on sales invoice with lacking information can still be claimed, provided the lacking information do not pertain to the following. So regarding the input VAT on the invoice, you can always claim the input VAT on the invoice if the following are present. So the amount of sales, the amount of VAT, the name and the TIN of the issuer or the purchaser, the description or nature of goods or services, and the date of transaction. If any of this will be missing, you cannot claim input VAT. So right now, under IOPTA, you can claim input VAT not pursuant to OR already. So whether it is sale of services or sale of goods, we can claim input VAT pursuant to invoice. And if ever you will issue also, you can issue your invoice or your sales through a sales invoice. And at the same time, to claim any input VAT, you need to show the following, or in the face of the sales invoice, the following should be shown: the amount of the sales, the amount of the VAT, the name and TIN of issuer or purchaser, the description or nature of goods or services, and the date of transaction. Pag may isa pong wala dyan, you cannot claim input VAT. So sa ating mga accountants dyan who are working as to the SLSP preparation or as to the computation of the VAT of their clients, please take note of these things in claiming for input VAT. Because if ever you are claiming an input VAT and this detail or any of this detail is not present, then you will be subject to a deficiency tax. Why are you subject to deficiency tax? Because as if you have overstated your input VAT when in fact that input VAT cannot be claimed. Ang tanong lang naman dito, kailan ba nga natin makli-claim yung input VAT? Makli-claim natin kapag kumpleto yung details sa invoice. At ano yung mga details sa invoice na kailangan nating hanapin? Itong A, B, C, D, and E. Pag meron pong isa dyan, you cannot claim it as input VAT. And if ever you have claimed it as input VAT, that is considered an overstatement of input VAT, then you are subject to a deficiency tax. So pakiingatan po ang bagong requirement natin sa VAT invoicing. Ngayon, ang invoice na po natin, ang tawag natin ay sales invoice, whether or not seller of service or seller of goods, and what are the important things we should see in that invoice so that we can claim it as input VAT. So that is under A2E. Next update, the substantiation and timing of input VAT. So the prior rule is that for sale of services, you can claim the input VAT upon payment. For goods, you claim input VAT upon accrual. But now under IOPTA, you can claim input VAT upon accrual and it should be supported by the sales invoice. In short, whether or not the invoice is paid, you can already claim the input VAT. Unlike before, for services, you can only claim the input VAT upon payment. Now, whether it is service or goods, you can already claim the input VAT upon accrual, whether or not it is already paid, as long as it is supported by the sales invoice. And again, all of the necessary details for the sales invoice should be presented. Because if the details are not presented in the sales invoice, then you cannot claim that as input VAT. And if ever you have claimed it as an input VAT, then what is the effect? The effect is that you overstated your input VAT, therefore you will have a tax deficiency. Next update under IOPTA, output VAT on uncollected receivables. So if ever, as you all know, the timing and substantiation now is accrual. So when we say accrual, regardless whether or not you have already collected it, you should report it as part of output VAT. And whether or not you have paid your purchase, you can already claim it as input VAT. So the first topic is output VAT on uncollected receivables. So this is kind of new under our IOPTA. Why? This is only introduced under IOPTA. It is not present under our NIRC. So under Ease of Paying Taxes Act, a seller of goods or services may deduct the output VAT on uncollected receivables on the next quarter after the lapse of the agreed period to pay subject to the following condition. First, the seller fully paid the VAT on the transaction. Second, the VAT component of the uncollected receivable has not been claimed as deductible bad debts from gross income. So let's say for example po, on quarter 1, nagkaroon ka ng sale. And yung sale na yon ay credit sale. So, ire-report mo po yung output VAT niyan sa quarter 1. Ngayon, yung credit sale po na yan, ang due date niya ay quarter 2. Ngayon, nung quarter 2, hindi nyo po nakolekta yung receivable na yan. Anong magiging effect niya? Ang sabi po sa IOPTA, a seller of goods or service may deduct the output VAT on the uncollected receivable on the next quarter after the lapse of the agreed period to pay. So sa example po natin, quarter 1 po yung ating credit sale. Hindi po nakolekta on due date which is quarter 2. Pwede po ba nating bawasan yung output VAT natin? Yes. Ang tanong, kailan? On quarter 3. As long as you fully paid the VAT on quarter 1. And if ever it is not yet claimed as a deductible bad debts from gross income. So what is a deductible bad debts from gross income? Dapat yung VAT component po ng ating receivable, hindi natin claim as bad debt. So if that's the case, you can now reduce your output VAT. And if ever there is a recovery of uncollected receivables, the VAT shall be remitted during the period of recovery. Okay, so let's say for example, quarter 4 na-recover natin yung uncollected receivable. So there's a recovery. Will you report an output VAT? Yes, on quarter 4 at the date of recovery. How about for uncollection or uncollectible receivable or uncollected receivable? For uncollected receivable or non-collection of receivable, for non-collection, you will only report that on the next quarter after the lapse of the agreed period to pay. So also, output VAT on uncollected receivables pursuant to the Revenue Regulation 3-2024, it has the following requisites. So, ganito po para ma-claim natin siya as uncollected. First, the sale or exchange has taken place after the effectivity of this regulation. Wala na pong problema yan kasi effective naman na tong RR. The sale should be on credit or on account. Sa resibo po natin, kailangan nakalagay doon na on credit or on account siya. And then, there is a written agreement on the period to pay the receivables. For example, dun po sa ating sales invoice, the credit term is indicated in the invoice or there must be any document showing the credit term. Fourth, the VAT is separately shown on the invoice. Fifth, the sale was specifically reported in the SLS or summary list of sales, covering the period when the sale was made and not reported as part of various sales. Kalimitan po sa mga accountants nowadays, if ever they will report a summary list of sales, they don't report it one by one. What they do is they will lump it into one particular item. And what is that item? Various sales. So, ingatan po natin yan. We cannot claim the uncollected receivable output VAT unless it is reported separately. Huwag po natin siyang ilump into one item known as various sales. Next, the seller declared in the tax return the corresponding output VAT indicated in the invoice within the period prescribed under the existing rules. So you already indicated that in your VAT return. Next, the period agreed upon, whether extended or not, has elapsed. So in short, it should have been already uncollected or past the due date. And then lastly, the VAT component was not claimed as a deduction for the gross income. So actually, all of the other items were already previously provided under IOCTA. So what is new under this revenue regulation number 3-2024 is that there must be a credit term indicated in the invoice or there must be a document showing the credit term. Second, the summary list of sales kailangan separately reported siya and it is not reported as part as various sales. Now, to illustrate it, so let's say on quarter one, you have invoice date. So you will declare it as output VAT. So quarter one will be your output VAT declaration. Next, quarter two is the due date. But upon due date, there was no collection. So it is now uncollected. So the rule under output VAT on uncollected receivables is that the quarter following the due date, you need to adjust the VAT. So the output VAT adjustment will be on quarter three. So the seller now may deduct the output VAT on the uncollected receivable from the next quarter's output VAT. So, wala kang collection nung quarter two, there's non-collection or the receivable was uncollected, you will now adjust on quarter three. So there will be an output VAT adjustment. And assuming on quarter four, there is a recovery, once there's a recovery on quarter four, then you will again declare the output VAT. So it is added to output VAT during the period of recovery, and that is quarter four. And that is under Section 110 coupled with the revenue regulation under Ease of Paying Taxes Act. What we are saying here is that if ever now we have an uncollectible receivable, we can now deduct the output VAT in relation to that receivable. When do we deduct it? On the next quarter from where you have sold that from where the receivable is considered uncollected. So in our example here, it is uncollected on quarter two, therefore you can deduct the output VAT on quarter three. And you will add again the output VAT at the date of recovery. So if ever it is recovered on quarter four, then you should add that output VAT on quarter four. So if you are wondering, where do we see that output VAT on our current return? So under PIR Form 2550Q or the quarterly VAT return or QVR, under our QVR as to April 2024 return, we have here already output VAT on uncollected receivable. So from your output VAT, mababawasan siya ng output VAT on uncollected receivable. And once we already recovered it, madadagdagan uli yung iyong output VAT. So we place these items under number 35 and number 36 of the new BIR form number 2550Q, which was released last April 2024. Now, what is the duty of the seller pursuant to RMC 65-2024? Is it enough that we say it is uncollected so that we can claim already a reduction on our output VAT? So under question 9 of RMC 65-2024, we have the following. What is the effect on the input tax claimed by the delinquent buyer when the seller availed of the output VAT credit on uncollected receivable? So if ever there is an uncollected receivable, then what we will do is that the input tax claimed by the buyer shall not be allowed as input VAT the moment the seller claims the output VAT credit on such uncollected receivable. So in short, hindi na niya po pwedeng gamitin yun as input VAT credit. And if that's the case, anong mangyayari kapag ni-report niya pa rin? So there will be now a deficiency on the part of the buyer. Now, how will the seller document the particular sales on account where the corresponding output VAT credit was claimed for being uncollected receivable? Okay, ang answer po ng BIR dyan, the seller shall stamp claimed output VAT credit on the duplicate or triplicate copies of the corresponding invoice issued for the uncollected receivable. And in case there is a partial payment on the said uncollected receivable, the amount collected therefrom and the balance of the uncollected receivable shall also be indicated. In short, meron pong additional na duty under RMC 65-2024. So you are not just reporting it from one quarter to another quarter, but the particular invoice kung saan uncollected yung receivable, we must stamp it into claimed output VAT credit. And if ever there is now a recovery, there must be an indication on that recovery. Furthermore, the seller is not precluded from issuing supplementary sales document such as credit memo or credit note on top of stamping of claimed output VAT credit. So in short, ang requirement po ng seller talaga under RMC is to stamp the particular copy of the invoice as claimed output VAT credit. Kung gusto niyo po pong magbigay ng credit memo or credit note, okay lang po yon. Pero ang requirement ng RMC, kailangan po mismo dun sa sales invoice na uncollected ang receivable, i-stamp po natin siya as claimed output VAT credit. And if there's already a collection or recovery, you should also indicate in that particular invoice. Next, under question 19 of RMC 65-2024, is the seller required to issue an invoice upon the recovery of previously uncollected receivable? So in case there is now a recovery of the uncollected receivable, mag-i-issue ba tayo ng bagong invoice? The answer is no. Ang gagawin nga po natin, susulatan natin yung invoice ng ating recovery. So the seller shall stamp the phrase recovered in the invoice that is the origin of the transaction that was previously declared as uncollected and the amount collected, if partial, on the same copy. So in short, nasagot na rin yan sa under question 10. At the time it is considered uncollected, yung invoice copy natin, i-stamp natin claimed output VAT credit. Next, at the time of recovery, i-stamp uli natin siya ng recovered or recovery, ilagay yung amount na na-recover. But you don't need to issue another sales invoice. Do you need to amend your quarterly VAT return? No. Why? The recovery and the amount of uncollected receivable should be properly reported. Where will it be reported again? For uncollected receivable on the next quarter. So if that happens on quarter 2, you should report it on quarter 3. For the recovery, you report it at the time of recovery. If the recovery happens on quarter 4, you should report it on quarter 4. No need for amendment of the quarterly VAT return or the QVR. What we only need is the proper reporting of the uncollected receivable and at the same time, the proper recording of the recovery. and the requirements under the RMC wherein you need to stamp your receipts as claimed output VAT credit or it is already recovered. Next, IOPTA update. Under IOPTA, we have now our VAT refund claims. So sobrang daming issue before sa VAT refund. Pero sa under IOPTA, it was already cleared out. So before, the only instance wherein we can claim a VAT refund is from a zero-rated or effectively zero-rated sale. But now under IOPTA, you can claim VAT refund under zero-rated or effectively zero-rated sale or cancellation of registration. Okay. So now we have two instances under IOPTA, zero-rated and cancellation of registration. And at the same time, all claims are subject to mandatory audit before. But right now, we are classifying the claim, whether you are low risk, medium risk, high risk, based on the amount of your claim. And ang isa-subject lang to audit ay medium and high risk. Ang audit sa medium ay 50%, while high risk is 100% audited. So ang i-audit as to your VAT refund claims up to 50% sa medium, sa high risk 100%. Furthermore, you can appeal to CTA within 30 days from decision of denying the claim. That is the prior rule. But under IOPTA, you can appeal to the CTA within 30 days from the receipt of the decision denying the claim or after the lapse of the 90 days period for the BIR to act on the claim. So, dati kasi, hindi ka pwedeng maka-appeal sa CTA kapag nag-lapse yung period. But under IOPTA, ngayon, kapag nag-lapse yung 90-day period for the BIR to decide on your claim, you can now appeal directly to the CTA within 30 days after the lapse of that 90-day period. So those are our IOPTA updates. The most important IOPTA update we have is the uncollected receivable. What should you do on an uncollected receivable? And at the same time, the period for your VAT refund claim. When can we elevate the case to the CPA? Next law, we have your create more updates. Actually, for create more updates, this is more about additional incentives pursuant to the corporate to the create law. So before we have the registered business enterprise, those registered business enterprise has incentives under the create law. So we call those preferential treatment on the taxation of certain corporations, which are registered as RBE or registered business enterprise. But the Create was amended and it was supplemented by your Create More. And under Create More, there was a specific provision for VAT refund again. So actually, Create More codified the VAT refund. So earlier, we only have two instances of VAT refund, zero-rated and cancellation of registration. But now under Create More, we have three, zero-rated, cancellation, and cessation or dissolution of business. So when will you file a refund? For a zero-rated sale, you must file a refund 2 years after the close of the taxable quarter when the sales were made. So let's say the sales were made last quarter of quarter two of 2025. So you must file within 2 years from the close of that taxable quarter, and that is June 30, 2027. So up to June 30, 2027. So if it's quarter two of 2025, you must file after the close, 2 years after the close of the taxable quarter or until June 30, 2027. As to cancellation of VAT registration, 2 years from the date of cancellation. So assuming you canceled your VAT registration and you have input VAT to be claimed, then you can refund it 2 years from the date of cancellation. And for cessation or dissolution of business, assuming you will close now your business and there are still remaining input VAT, you can claim VAT refund 2 years from the date of issuance of the BIR tax clearance. So VAT refund, therefore, is more codified now under Create More. So what's new under VAT refund? You can now elevate to the CTA upon inaction within 90 days. In short, the BIR must act on your VAT refund within a period of 90 days. If not, then you can now file under the CTA due to the inaction of the BIR. Also, we have now three causes of refund pursuant to Create More: zero rated, cancellation, and cessation. And it answers when to refund. That is normally 2 years. But counting when, for zero rated, 2 years after the close of the taxable quarter. For cancellation of VAT registration, 2 years from the date of cancellation. And for cessation or dissolution of business, that is 2 years from the date of the issuance of the BIR tax clearance. Okay? So far, we already tackled two VAT updates. Those are the updates under IOCTA and under Create More. Last VAT update, which is currently new, we have your VAT on digital service providers. So with the rise of the digital service platforms here in the Philippines, the BIR now VAT subjects the digital service providers to VAT. So under VAT on DSPs, we have two types of VAT on DSPs. That is either business to business or business to customer. So under RMC 047-2025, the proper reporting on this VAT on DSPs was laid down. So first, on your VAT on B2B transaction. What is B2B transaction? That is the DSP or the digital service provider. It will have a transaction with a business. So it is business to business. So the transaction of the DSP here is to a business. So let's say, for example, we have here a non-resident VAT registered DSP or the digital service provider. If this digital service provider will supply digital services to the registered business, the registered business must withhold a VAT. So this is kind of new. The registered business now is considered a withholding agent on the VAT of the DSP. So the registered business must withhold amounting to 12% and will file that using BIR form 1600 VT to the BIR. So let's assume, based on this example, the DSP will sell to the business at the price of 112 pesos or $12. $112. So the registered business will only pay 100 to the DSP and will remit to the BIR the $12 through BIR form 1600 VP. And the non-resident VAT registered DSP must also file quarterly 12% VAT to the using BIR form 2550-DS through the portal of the BIR. So that is your VAT on digital service. That is your VDS portal. So therefore, mag-withhold yung business, i-remit kay BIR using 1600 VT. Pero si digital service provider, kailangan pa rin mag-file ng BIR Form 2550-DS through the VDS portal of the BIR. So that's a B2B transaction. How about if it is DSP to a customer? So we call this one B2C transaction. So if that is a B2C transaction, the DSP will sell to the customer. The customer will not withhold anything. The customer will pay the whole $112 to the DSP. Now, the DSP must file and pay through the BIR using the BIR form 2550-DS. So kailangan alamin ni DSP kung sino yung katransact niya. If that is a business or the government, the business or government must withhold a 12% withholding VAT to the DSP. But if ever it is a customer, so assuming we are just a customers, we use Shopee, that is a non-resident DSP, we will not withhold from Shopee. But if ever it is a business transacting with Shopee, the business must withhold from Shopee the 12% withholding VAT. That is your 1600 VT. You will now file to the BIR. Anong napansin po natin? Dito kasi sa outside, yung B2B, magfa-file lang. Why? Na-withhold na yung VAT eh. Pero sa B2C, kailangan mag-file at magbayad using Form 2550-DS sa BIR. Bakit? Kasi si customer hindi nag-withhold. Okay? B2B, nag-withhold, mag-file si business ng withholding VAT using 1600 VT, kailangan na lang mag-file ni DSP. Pero sa B2C, walang withholding. So si non-resident VAT registered DSP, kailangan niyang mag-file at magbayad ng BIR Form 2550-DS through the VDS portal of the BIR. Next, under VAT on DSP, assuming the DSP is an e-marketplace, so B2B transaction, again, business to business. So the non-resident digital service provider is now a non-resident e-marketplace. So what will happen? Still, the business needs to withhold using BIR form 1600 VT will report that to the BIR. At the same time, the non-resident e-marketplace must file BIR form 2550DS to the BIR. So, walang nagbago dito. Actually, same lang sila nung B2B na TSP. Medyo winirdohan lang ni BIR dito na classify niya yung DSP as an e-marketplace. If that's the case, same pa rin yung gagawin natin. The registered business must withhold. The non-resident DSP must file BIR form 2550DS to the BIR. So right now, we have a new form. We call it your 2550DS. Next, B2C transaction. Under B2C transaction, wherein the DSP is an e-marketplace, same pa rin po ang gagawin natin. So, walang withholding, ibabayad lahat natin yan kay DSP or the non-resident e-marketplace in this case. And the non-resident e-marketplace must file and pay using the BIR form 2550DS through the VDS portal. So yun po ang ating tax tips for today. Those are our tax updates pursuant to IOPTA, pursuant to Create More, and pursuant to the DSP or VAT on digital service providers. Now, on the second part of my discussion, I will discuss the use of Automate, in filing for our VAT. So how Automate simplifies compliance and streamlines your VAT filing. So I don't know if ever you are already aware of this particular software, but we have here a software known as Automate. So under Automate, this is our Automate. It is a Singaporean accounting software which already incorporated VAT and also percentage tax in that particular software. So as we record our sales or our purchases, we can already set our VAT. And once the VAT is set, you can just go to our VAT under business tax. And then we click the VAT here. So let's say you want to see your sales for a quarter. So that is January 1, 2025 until March 31, 2025. Okay, I'll just fix my software for a while.
Jack, we can see your screen. Are you sharing?
You can for a while. Okay. For a while.
Is everything good, Jack?
Jack? Yeah.
Hello, can you now see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So here under Taxomeet, we have here under our software, we have here Philippine Sales Tax Report, and we have also Philippine Purchase Tax Report, Sales VAT Report DET file, Purchase VAT Report DET file, and BIR Form 2550Q. So let's say we have our DET file. So under DET file, you can just easily create or uh, generate your DET file. So let's say that will be April 1, 2025 until June 30, 2025, or the second quarter. So whatever we have recorded during those dates, you will now generate the DET file. So what's the use of this DET file? As you all know, we need to file summary list of sales and summary list of purchases. So right now, what we do is we encode it manually using our VAT relief program. So under the VAT relief program of the BAR, we encode all of the purchases one by one, all of our sales one by one, using those items or using the VAT relief. But using the system of Automate, whatever are the sales or the purchases, they are already automatically recorded under our Taxonomy plan. So under Taxonomy, again, we go to our taxes. Oh, okay, so under Taxonomy, again, we can just generate our sales. So let's say that will be on April 1, 2025 until June 30, 2025. We can already generate our DET file. So we can just generate our DET file automatically. The DET file for that period will be generated. At the same time, even if that is purchase, we can also generate our DET file. So April 1 until June 30, 2025, let's say. So we just generate the DET file. Automatically, the DET file is already computed or downloaded by the system. And once it is downloaded by the system, you can already file it using our e-submission platform to the BAR. So what's nice here is that you can see all the history of our generated DET file and what are the items filed. So let's say earlier we generated a DET file. So to confirm whether or not we already submitted it to the BAR, you just need to update the status of this one. So let's say it was uploaded today, and we have already the e-submission. So let's say this one is our e-submission. Then we just click submit. Okay. Once it is submitted, as you can see earlier, it was generated, it will be transferred to filed. So that's the use of Automate as to the integration of our sales and purchases. So whatever we had recorded as sales or purchase using the system, automatically it will be tagged under our business taxes, particularly under VAT, if ever there's a VAT, and we can already generate our DET file for our SLSP filing. Aside from that, this Automate system can also generate your BIR form 2550Q. So let's say we will generate a new form and it is a calendar year and ending December 31, 2025. So it is the second quarter. So the return period for second quarter will be April 1, 2025 until June 30, 2025. It's not a short period return. There's no tax relief availment, so we get the data. So automatically, whatever you have recorded in the system as your sales and as your purchases, it will be also populated into the BAR form. And once it is populated, you just click generate here. And the BIR form will be successfully generated. So you can now preview the generated report. So we have just generated this August 20. We can just preview this one. So it will create already for you a pro forma BIR form 2550Q. So this is our BIR form 2550Q. So whatever are the amounts included earlier in the system will be placed here. So as you can see, it now uses the new BIR form, which is valid last April 2024. It has already the uncollected receivables and output VAT on recovered uncollected receivables. So if ever you're interested with this particular software, you can hit up Miss Marian regarding this one and schedule a demo for a full demo of the automate functionality as to taxes. So we are not only catering, or automate is not only catering as to BIR form 2550Q. It is not only catering for that, it also caters for percentage tax. We have also withholding taxes, and it has also income taxes. So if ever you are interested with this software, you can schedule a demo with Miss Marian. And if ever you have questions on our discussion on VAT, you can now ask those questions under our chat box.
All right. Are you done, Jack?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just a quiet discussion on brief discussion as to the software. But if ever you want more an in-depth discussion as to the automate software, you can schedule, of course, a demo meeting.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jack. Before we proceed, do you have any more question, or how do you find the discussion? Can you type on if you're happy with the sharing of Jack, and also how you see Automate as be your collaborate when it comes to your accounting profession, and of course, looking forward, you will establish your own accounting firm. Pwede naman siguro mag-Tagalog, no? Before that, I just want to acknowledge, of course, my team members, Jack, Ayesha, Edward, and Daniel. Dito sila lahat. That's why I'm speaking in English. I'm with Ali. But anyway, please type 1 if you're happy with the sharing of Jack. Okay, we want to see if you're learning kasi for sure, iba sa inyo mga nakita ko nagda-drive, someone is nasa biyahe, ako din nasa labas, nasa coffee shop. But yeah, you have so many questions here. I think Daniel is already answering some questions. Yeah, I have a announcement before we proceed. So aside from somebody's asking if it is with fee. So for those of you, I think Daniel will share the website. So if somebody can share the website of Automate, or Jack, can you share our, I think we have already launched our website. This is a great presentation. Thank you, Jack. Yeah.
There's a question here for the DSP. This is just a seldom transaction. Do I need to update our COR? No, you don't need to update the COR. Only if ever you need to withhold taxes on the DSP, you need to just file your corresponding return, but no need to update your COR.
Oh. Yeah. Any more questions? So as you can see, site of Automate, you can use 1 month free trial. And we have a special announcement for those of you who will use our platform. We will be having, in a way, value to you. So for those webinar that we conduct, we will give you the link that you can post on your social media. And we could have another session how to do it. But basically, we want you to maximize our materials. Like this one, you can share some short clips. We have short clips that we will share with you. And then you can share it to your social media or to your friends. And eventually, for sure, yung mga makikilala nyo magkakaroon ng awareness or interest on getting your services. And if you have a client that you want to have in a call, we are willing to assist you until ma-close nyo yung clients. i-schedule lang natin yung call with your clients, local clients, anyone who needs help when it comes to tax filing and compliances. So we are willing to guide you in every step of the way. So that's the thing that we can share. We have, it's like a marketing army. So kami na yung may mga materials, video clips, cheat sheet, and then all you have to do is share yung sa mga potential yung client. And if you need help again, just call. We are happy to help Jack with the team and me. Happy to assist you when you have a call with your client. Is it something you're interested in? Sounds good ba yan? Pa-type naman ng sounds good. Ayan. So, the good thing, yung lagi umaten dito, kayo yung early adapter. Kasi if you know, AI is, andyan ang AI eh. All you have to do is embrace and collaborate with AI. So, anything na we have pre-webinar for you, sinishare ko naman sa community. So, every week we have this kind of session and one podcast every week. Baka bukas meron ulit, I think 7 p.m. tomorrow. If you need more details and knowledge about that. Okay? Yeah, anyone who's interested to join marketing masterclass, so let me know. You can message me and we have the community that I can share with you. You can join. Hold on. I'll post the community that we have. Nasa labas ako pero ang ingay ko, di ba? I'll share with you the link for the community for some announcement. Doon ko siya sinishare sa sa group. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? Jack, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. We really appreciate your effort, and our team members are here. And for those of you who attend, let's have a picture. And then don't leave. I have few more announcements for some questions. Yeah. Sino pong pwedeng mag-take a picture? Anyone wants to volunteer to have a photo op? Naka-mobile phone na kasi ako, sorry.
Ako na, coach.
Yeah, thanks, Bean. And again, for those of you who's interested on our marketing masterclass, feel free to reach out and join the community, okay?
Hindi. Tapos pinat niya ako, sakto natin niya ako sa flowers.
Okay, Dean, are you ready? Don't leave. We have a photo up, and then Daniel is sharing some materials. Thank you so much. Thanks, Daniel. Okay, I think meron na. Or you want more?
Okay po, thank you.
Okay, guys. Wait lang. Gerald, are you here?
Hello, yes, I'm here, Miss Yan.
Guys, huwag muna kayong aalis. I will also take this up. Ay, wala mo nang aalis. Papaluin ko yung aalis. Wait lang. Kasi meron kami announcement regarding USCPA and yung OTHM level 7. May mga nagtatanong na rin sa inyo about, awag dito, yung USCPA dadaanan natin. Okay ba sa inyo? Okay, wag mo na kayo malis. Wait lang. O, go. I'm here with Gerald. He's from iGEM Philippines. If you're following me, nandun ako lagi and tumutulong akong mag-promote ng educational sa ating community. And magdi-discuss lang siya ng konti about OTHM level 7. Go ahead, Je.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes
Hello.
po. Yes po.
Thank you. So, hello everyone. My name is Gerald. The admissions from admissions team from iGEM Philippines. So, we just recently officially launched the AGEM Philippines last 2 weeks ago, and Miss Yan Yan was there to witness the inauguration of IGEM Philippines. So basically, we are a learning institution in Dubai, and we have several programs like USCMA, Philippine CPA Review, Diploma in Corporate Income Tax, tax training, MBA, and Doctor of Business Administration program. So those are our various programs na in-extend namin sa Philippines kasi mostly our learners and our participants are Filipinos in the UAE. But of course, we would like to extend it in the Philippines.